Hi guys, hi, how's it going? How you doing today? Hopefully today finds you well. Today I am doing my top palettes for the winter season. These are the palettes that I typically want to pull for so much during the colder months, and I can't wait to share with you the 20 palettes that I pulled from my collection. A lot of them are really kind of similar vibes, so I'll kind of try and lump them all together so that it doesn't take us 5 years to get through this. But if that sounds like something that you're interested in watching, please stay tuned. For those of you new here, hi, my name is Donna. I'm a lover of all things high and colorful beauty and self-care. I also work in the beauty industry as a field leader for Ulta Beauty, so I get a lot of education in my position, and I like to bring you that education here. But ultimately, I'm just out here talking about makeup because I like to talk about makeup, and I'm assuming if you're here, you probably also like to talk about makeup. So let's just do that. Let's jump in and talk about some makeup. All right. Like I said, I have so many palettes here today with me. I have 20 palettes, some of them mini, some of them larger, some of them expensive, some of them not. With that said, let's just run down real quickly what I look for in a winter palette. Like when I think of winter time, I'm thinking sludgy snow. I'm thinking, parties and holiday season and excitement of the new year and all the things. So I'm looking at like maybe some grays and some blacks and some silvers and some like really deep jewel tones like reds and burgundies, or really deep greens, or really vibrant deep purples. Those kind of color stories really speak to me during the winter season. In addition to some blue, but like looking through this, I don't really think that there's a whole hell of a lot of blue in here, if I'm honest with you. But let's jump in. As I said in the intro, I do have some that are pretty much around the same kind of like thought process when it comes to like color stories. So I'm gonna try and lump as many of those into the same grouping as possible so that we're not here forever. I'm gonna start with these three here. So when I'm thinking like a gray or a like really deep color story, like really like party ready, really glam. And honestly, the winter season is when I think of glam holiday looks the most, right? These are the three that really come to mind, and these are rather smaller palettes, right? And we have like really drugstore price point clear up to kind of expensive for just a handful of shades. But all of these are going to bring roughly the same kind of thought process as far as color story goes. ColourPop Baroque is very gray toned. It's got, a really deep, like almost slatey blue gray here. And then we've got this really deep, like burgundy tone here. And I think that this just really screams winter season to me because it reminds me of all the different shades of snow on the ground during the winter season, which is kind of gross when you think about it. But, because cars driving on the snow, dirty snow, traipsed on snow, fresh snow, all the things, that palette really brings that to life for me, as well as this one. This one also is one of those kind of snow-esque glam type color stories for me. This is the Natasha Denona. This one is the mini Xenon palette. This is probably the most used palette in my collection because I don't only use it for the holiday or the winter season, of course, but when I look at this palette in my collection, it screams glam eye look, and glam eye look to me screams holiday, and holiday to me screams winter. So this is another one along the same lines as these color stories. And then the last one would be the Lime Crime Venus Immortalis. This is the color story of this palette, and these ones you almost can't even see on screen, But this one does have like these whites. It's got this beautiful silver. This one that's kind of like a pinky silver. It's got this beautiful burgundy, this kind of blue toned gray. And then of course the black in here for those glam eye looks. Like I just think that this is definitely my winter color story in a nutshell. It's probably the most well-rounded, in my humble opinion, small winter color story in my collection. Along the lines of those are probably these ones as well. So I do have another Natasha Denona palette, a Nabla palette, and then of course the Glam Light Chucky palette. I think it's funny because this one didn't ever scream like Halloween necessarily to me, but it definitely has the color story that I'm going after for the winter season with the deep, dark burgundies and reds and like blue toned grays, deep grungy purples, but also some of the silvers, like this silver here and this silver here. Really beautiful color story in a nutshell of a palette. I think if I were going for like a larger version of the Immortalis palette, it would definitely be this palette. But this one also never screamed Halloween to me, except for in the theming of it. It always looked to me more like just a winter color story. The Nabla Cutie Platinum palette kind of brings in some of the browns, but man, this silver is the best silver for the winter season. When I think silver sleigh bells, yes, like I mean that is just wild how the silver in here is. It is quite possibly the best silver. I would say too, from a gold perspective, gold really comes to mind, like an antique gold or a bronze-esque gold also comes to mind during the winter season. This one is perfect for that. This deep dark brown gets really deep and dark, almost black. And then these two here make a really beautiful terracotta or almost burgundy eye look. It just using those two shadows even would make a beautiful burgundy, like wintry eye. So I would say even the Natasha Denona Glam palette really brings to life a lot of what you find in the Cutie Platinum palette by Nabla, in that it's got those like really cool tones in there, the like gray toned browns, but it's also got a lot of warmth. So it's going to help you kind of like even out an eye look if you need it. It's got some of those really dingy, like almost bronzy golds in there, but more of a like gray undertone to them than some of the other browns that you might find in like your summer season browns, right? I think when I think about winter, I also think about a lot of like blue. For me, the holiday season is all about blue and silver, so I think a lot about blues and silvers as far as winter goes, because that's what I decorate in for the holiday season, and that's when winter time frame happens. All these blues along this bottom row are fantastic. And then of course this silver, we all know this silver is an insane silver as well. Like just chrome in a pot. I think that this speaks so well to the winter season. Again, with a little bit of warmth in this palette, but for the most part, this has got those really deep, like midnight blues and the silvers in it that I'm going to be pulling for during the winter season. I have a palette that I pulled in from Huda because this to me is the epitome of the reds and burgundies that I'll be looking for this winter season, for those like really deep party ready colors. And then of course I also had to bring in my Winky Lux Kitten palette, because this one to me also has that really like deep grungy gold in here that I'll be searching for as far as like any kind of gold eye look. It's got the deep espresso brown, the like burgundy, this really beautiful blue. I think that this is a perfect winter palette. I have one more Natasha Denona that I think of when I think of winter, and it would be the Natasha Denona Star palette. And I don't know if it's because the external packaging is silver, because it has stars on it, which I think of a lot during the winter season because of the holidays, or if it's because of this color story. But truly, this color story is, to me, a winter color story, because it has the like natural tones that are just a little bit less warm, not necessarily not warm, but less warm than what you would find in like a summer color story, or even a fall color story, or even a spring color story, to be honest. They are warm-ish, but they're very much less warm. And then of course you've got the burgundies over here, you've got the like really pretty silvers, you've got the deep brown here. It's just a little less warm than any other palette that you would find on during the other seasons of the year. So I think that this one reminds me of a Christmas tree. Not necessarily the greens, but all the pretty lights on a Christmas tree. I also think of this one. This is the Complex Culture like Party Edit palette, and I think that's why this one reminds me of the winter season, because it is about parties, like cocktail parties, holiday parties, birthday parties, surprise parties, and it's just got all of the pretty fun like sparkly silverish shades that you might want on your eyes during this time of year. And again, I do think of very, very silvery, sparkly eyes during this season. This one's more about the purples that are in this palette. Oh my gosh, this is a purple lover's dream. And these are the kind of purples that I think about during the winter season. Like not the super bright ones that you're going to see during the summer, and not the like grungy purples that you're going to see during the fall, but this really beautiful jewel tone purple that definitely screams winter season to me. And it's even got like some of these shades up here that also scream winter season. This is the silver, and the silver in this palette, I mean, it's okay, but it's probably the worst silver I have in my collection, if I'm honest. And I also think that this is a really beautiful kind of burgundy red for the winter season as well. Along those same lines, I have the Color Drain Berry Cute palette. I don't even know if you can pick this up anymore, but this beautiful purple down here, this beautiful gray down right here, beautiful burgundy-ish color, beautiful like grayish purple. The only two that really don't belong in the winter season, I feel like, are those two, but I can always find a place for them in my winter eye looks, my winter eyeshadow wardrobe. Definitely has more of a winter feel for me than any other season. For the blues that I'm gonna have in my winter wardrobe, I do have this palette here. This is by Reina Ribalde. This is just a palette that my aunt got me, and I believe she got it at Walmart, but really great quality. This was a palette that actually surprised me, and you would think that this eye look came from this palette today, but it did not. This navy blue right here, quite possibly the best navy blue I have in my collection. This cornflower blue up here, really pretty. This is a really nice periwinkle. I know you can't see it super well with the lighting, but it's like so dark outside. And then I only have a few more for you, but two of them are from ABH. So look, this Jackie Aina palette, I always think about this palette specifically around the holiday season. And I think a lot of it has to do with just the really pretty purples and kind of deeper like reds that you're gonna find in this palette, because those are the colors, when I think colors other than like gray and black and, you know, kind of blue, that scream to me during the holiday season, it's those ones. And These two are beautiful. This brown leans very like red tone. This is a really beautiful burgundy, very deep red, like shimmer shade, deep purple, shimmer shade, deep purple, matte. Oh my gosh, it's such a beautiful palette for the winter season. And even the sponsored shade right here, which is a duochrome, isn't quite as green as what you're seeing it on camera, but it is such a beautiful, like almost dingy green, almost dingy, like red green shade. So perfect for holiday. And then the Rose Metals palette by ABH was not one of my favorite palettes. But I think that of all the palettes that I have from ABH, this one is the epitome of a wintertime color story because there's just so much like industrial in here, which is the same like color story that I think of in terms of winter time frame. I don't know why that is, but these are the shades, like really beautiful dingy like red or burgundy color, kind of leans a little bit more on the like terracotta side, but really deep. It blends in with those rich jewel tone colors that I'm speaking about. This one is a really beautiful burgundy, like shimmery, almost satiny shade. We've got a really pretty like ugly industrial like bronzy chrome color that isn't ugly actually, but it interprets that way. This is a really beautiful antique bronze, another different colored antique like bronze. I just think that this is very much a wintry color story in my humble opinion. And then I've just got two more palettes to show you. This one is of course the Pat McGrath Mothership 11. I don't know Roman numerals very well, but this one is Midnight Sun. You know, I go back and forth with this because this one could very well be a fall color story as well, but I think it does itself some favors with like this shimmer here, which is a really beautiful kind of like purpley blue, almost jewel tone. This one is kind of a grungy, deep reddish terracotta. This one is a beautiful, like jewel toned green. You've got a really deep, like brown down here that can really double as a black in my humble opinion. You've got kind of this gold right here that isn't like gold, like warm tone gold. It's got kind of that like cool tone, almost green in it. It's just a really pretty palette that could be fall, but I also think it's definitely a winter palette for me and my lineup. And then last but not least is the Be Perfect Dream Big Manifest palette. Now this is also a palette that when I did my palette roulette on it, I wasn't a super fan of it. But when I think of winter and what it means to me, this color story is almost perfect for it. It's got those deep, rich, grungy tones that I really like to see in my winter wardrobe. So like this deep, like burgundy red, this purple down here. Of course, it's got this black. It's got a lot of shades that you can blend out with. It's also got like this purple here, this blue here. It's got some of like the more muted tones up here, like this like army green and this orange. Like I just think that this is a perfect color story for winter, in addition to the fact that it's got some of those more unexpected shadows in it for the shimmer on an eye look. So this silver here is actually a really pretty silver. It's got a lot of flakiness to it. It's going to give you a lot of texture to your eye looks. This one here is a really pretty, like, I think Christmas bubble kind of shadow that's also going to give you a little bit of texture. I think that this one right here is a really pretty taupey color that would be a perfect, like, all one and done, like, eyeshadow look during the holiday season or during the winter season when it's like snowy outside and you haven't got time for that because it's going to take you 4 hours to drive anywhere because it's so snowy outside. Like, I just think that this has got some of those richer tones in it that I think of when I think winter eyeshadows. yeah, a lot of the shadows in here in real life. I know that the camera is picking it up and making it look a lot more bright than it actually is. I would definitely pull this out for winter wear. And I missed one, but this is the last one that I have for you, and it's the Marc Jacobs, one of his little 7-pound palettes, and this one is called Electric. And this one, number one, screams holiday party to me, and just the component. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's all like glitz and glam. And then these are the shades inside. And this is the perfect smoky eye palette with that like really burgundy-esque kind of taupey silvery kind of mindset when you're going for this kind of eye look. So I think that was 20 palettes. So I think I had 19 palettes for you because I'm looking at the stacks, and I do have one of the cartons for one of my palettes sitting out, and I think I accidentally counted that. But either way, that's a grib ton of palettes for you guys to see and hear my thoughts on, and the whys behind why I would pull them for winter palettes. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Let me know what your color story of choice is for a winter palette. And then let me know what palettes that you think fit that perfectly for you. I would sure be interested to hear your thoughts on your winter palettes. I try not to wear my makeup in terms of like seasonality, because like I'm gonna wear what I want to wear whenever I want to wear it. I'll wear a neon green eyeshadow look just as much in the fall time as I will in the spring. It doesn't matter to me, but some people do wear their makeup from a seasonal place. So I would be interested to hear your thoughts down there. What do you think of the palettes that I chose and my color story when I think of winter? Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that you all enjoyed the video, and if you did, I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel before you go. I would love to have you along. I hope that your holiday season is going as smooth as can be expected. I hope that you and yours are healthy and well and staying safe in this crazy world. And I hope that you are all loving each other, but loving each other from afar. And until next time, bye friends.